Hey, everybody, welcome to another Bleacher Report World Football stream. And this is a different one than we usually do. This is a direct reaction to the matches that just happened in the Champions League. It feels like it's been a long time since we had our Champions League football because it has been. The international break is long. It's basically, 2 weeks, week and a half kind of thing. So, yes, we're going to go through all of the top matches in the Champions League from this week. Liverpool, Arsenal, their match, Chelsea, Olympiacos and Real Madrid, PSG and Tottenham. Those are the five ones we'll really focus on. But of course, there was other results that were pretty big, such as Manchester City losing to Leverkusen at home. Pep Guardiola making 10 changes to his team. Just unbelievable stuff from him. You also had the battle of the basement, team in 35th versus team in 36th. The teams fighting to be the worst in the league. One of them happens to be the team I support, Benfica. They got the win. So, hey, hopefully we can move out of that basement soon. For now, we're still locked down there. But, guys, we have a lot to talk about. And I think we're going to focus on probably, I don't know if I'll call it the biggest surprise of the match day, but Liverpool losing again. This is something they've gotten to a habit of. But I think it's sort of been at the point where people are thinking, nah, surely they're not going to lose at home against PSV, right? Surely that's not going to happen. And yeah, it does happen. It does happen. So let's just go over sort of the tail of the tape, what really happened in that one, because Liverpool give up a penalty in the first 5 minutes or so. I mean, especially in the manner in which they kind of gave that up, just kind of sums up their difficulties right now. Some misfortune, yes, but mostly just a bizarre error. And from one of their pillars, a guy who has been unquestionably central to their defensive success, or just their success in general in their sort of modern era of success. Virgil van Dijk, that handball, don't know what his hand's doing up here. Don't really understand why it flew up. I think maybe it was being held on to or something like that. But still, kind of inexcusable, kind of strange, kind of unfortunate, all mixed into one. He also took that yellow card shortly after, which just sort of went to show how he was just a bit rattled in this match, and is sort of a metaphor for Liverpool in general and how they are just kind of rattled these days. Now, they nearly went from two down after that also, but the penalty, one other thing I wanted to highlight is that I believe that it came from Kerkez heading the ball out sort of waywardly for a corner when he didn't really need to, which just sort of was more misery for him. A guy that absolutely needs a break from misfortune. He is not playing well, and he is hearing about it from Liverpool supporters, pundits, his own teammates. I mean, how many times have we seen Virgil van Dijk sort of ream him out? So just more misfortune. Now we have, is it the end of the road for Arne Slot? Liverpool sit 12th in both the Premier League and Champions League. Wow, isn't that interesting? Double 12th for them. And so if you look at what happened from there, right? You have Ekitike looking decent, looking dangerous. Liverpool kind of, in some ways, going back to what was working for them, having Ekitike out there instead of Isak. Kerkez at left back isn't ideal. I think there's a lot of Liverpool supporters that, if possible, would love to see Robertson back in that role. But again, as I keep saying, the most important player for Liverpool, Szoboszlai, getting that goal for them. I think he's been their most consistent performer and most important player so far this season, when the likes of Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah have gone a little bit quiet this season in comparison to seasons past, right? How big of an impact was Mohamed Salah? And it makes you wonder, this is an oversimplification, but it does make you wonder about how much he was sort of that difference maker from these sort of poor results. Now, I think that I say that that's a sort of bad comparison to last season because Liverpool's defense is just so bad right now. I mean, you look at this in the second half, you have PSV scoring 3 goals, Gustil and Driouche getting 2 goals for himself. I wasn't really familiar with his game prior to this. But I'm watching now. I saw that he also went on against Napoli and scored a goal and got an assist in the final 6 minutes or something like that, in like a 6-minute cameo, which is just insane. But that makes 3 matches in a row now for Liverpool in which they've conceded at least 3 goals at home. This is not what you think of when you think of Anfield, and in this case, 4 goals, right? Against City, Forest, and now PSV, conceding tons of goals. And you see how many shots PSV had. 9, 6 on target, though, so very accurate shooting. a few matches before that also, as I was saying, they have this match, they have the City match, and they have the Forest match where they conceded, but they also conceded three against Crystal Palace not that long ago as well. So 9 losses in 12 matches for Liverpool, that magic number 12, sitting in 12th in the Premier League and the Champions League as well. But I think if there's a person that is to highlight in all of this, I think Virgil van Dijk is sort of the big piece of conversation for me, easily the roughest patch that I can remember seeing from him. And don't get me wrong, he hasn't had a very good partner next to him, which is a big aspect of it, right? How many times has Ibrahim Konate made mistakes this season? He made one in this match itself, like these mistakes just keep happening and happening and happening. And that certainly doesn't help Virgil van Dijk, especially when he also has another guy next to him in Kerkez, who is not playing very well either. So it's not been easy for Virgil van Dijk in that sense. Because think of how good he has been for Liverpool in the past, how he was at times, it felt like single-handedly, no matter who was next to him, because he hasn't always had a fantastic partner next to him. He sort of had to make do at times with Matip when Matip wasn't playing very well, or Joe Gomez, or whomever you want to call upon that they had next to him. Because I think back to when he was sort of lifting the standards at Liverpool and when he first signed for them, and he sort of lifted everything. He was sort of the beginning of that renaissance at the back to sort of shore up their defense, make everything right. Then they bring in Alisson, and of course, the rest is history, as you know. But I think that his sort of stumble, more so than Mohamed Salah's, is affecting Liverpool. And they really need him to sort of step up and put in these great performances, because if he can start to do that, I think that he'll lift the standards of Ibrahim Konate as well. And I think that everything at the back end will sort of look a lot tighter for Liverpool, and that will give them a good base going forward, because they're just shipping goals, especially at home. It's like they have fright stage at Anfield at this point. So it's pretty scary for them. And it's only going to get more difficult because I believe they play Inter away in their next match, going away to the San Siro and that kind of environment against an Inter team that is, you can never sleep on. Always a very, very difficult opponent. It's only going to get more difficult for Liverpool, if you ask me. And you can see it right there, sitting behind Newcastle at the moment, who also lost to Marseille during this match day. German teams, you got a couple German teams in that top 8. Now, Jonald says, feel like the Arsenal win gives them the momentum going into the weekend ahead of Chelsea. Yeah, Jonald, that's a really good point. And we're actually going to get into Arsenal versus Bayern right now, because that is absolutely a great momentum shift, because this was the two, not that they really needed a ton of momentum, because Arsenal has been playing incredibly well, as has Chelsea. They're going to be playing at Stamford Bridge, I believe, aren't they? But winning at home against a team like Bayern, undoubtedly, I saw this match as two of the best teams in Europe facing off, because Bayern have just been winning everything, going on that unbelievable winning run. I can't remember what it ended at, 15 or 16 games that they won consecutively. Unbelievable. Then you have Arsenal, who just wasn't conceding goals for 8 matches straight, dealing with injuries at the back now with Gabriel. So, things are a little bit of a question mark, but it seems like at the back they're going to be just fine. And of course, the most important thing in this match was the reunion of Eze and Olise, right? So, but a little Crystal Palace heritage here. But Kane and company spoke about prior to this match. They were speaking about in the press conference how, of course, they were asked about set pieces, because Arsenal scores from every single set piece that they take, basically. Obviously not. And company says that they have something to deal with it. Kane called Arsenal the set piece team, Only one team is left with a perfect Champions League record. Arsenal, yes, there you have it. I mean, right now, they are the team to beat in Europe in general. My prediction at the beginning of the season was that they would win the Champions League and not win the Premier League, but now it's looking like, betting against them to do both seems a little bit silly, doesn't it? They are just playing at that high of a level. They have the depth to do so. And it's just, this is exactly what they've sort of been building towards over the last few years under Mikel Arteta, and all of the investment that's gone into the squad, so that you can bring in a guy like Mosquera or Hincapie or whatever. When you do have those injuries at the back, you can bring in Martinelli, when Eze is injured or something like that, or a Noni Madueke can come on if in case Bukayo Saka gets injured or what have you. They just have so many options now in the attack. Maybe the striker position where they don't have Gabriel Jesus or Havertz or Gyökeres ready. Unfortunately, all three out. But you have good old Mikel Merino that you could throw in there, a midfielder that can score goals. So they are simply built to win right now. And they have this base of defense that is just so unbelievably good. Going up against this Bayern team who is unreal in the attack. Just think of all the goals that Kane was scoring at the beginning of this season. I mean, he's still scoring goals, not at a frequent rate like he was before, but he's still a goal threat. Think of Olise out there. Think of Gnabry out there. This Leonard Carl kid, 17 years old, looking absolutely unbelievable. They're doing really, really well. I mean, they're doing really well in the attack. And to have this much difficulty against Arsenal, sure, there were times, I think it was maybe towards the end of the first half or something like that, where Bayern were looking a lot more dangerous. They did get that goal, which, by the way, Serge Gnabry just loving playing in North London, doesn't he? I think he scored 4 goals and got an assist against Tottenham in the 2019-20 quarterfinals. He got a goal against Arsenal in the 23-24 season. So he loves coming to North London, back where he, started at Arsenal, really. He gets that nice assist for Leonard Carl, 2 goals for Leonard Carl, 17 years old, looking great. But all this to say, this Arsenal team is just dominant. Sports Watcher says Arsenal versus nobody. If you mean by they have no peers at the moment, I mean, the Champions League table would suggest that as the only team that has a win. Is that 5? Record. Just nonstop. Yeah, 5-0 up at the top there with Inter losing to Atletico this on this match day as well. Now, I really liked in that second half what I saw from Arsenal in that goal that Calafiori set up for Madueke to make it 2-1. That was a fantastic team goal. And now that we're seeing Eze sort of arrive, right? He had that hat trick against Tottenham in the North London derby. Now that we're seeing him sort of arrive, and we spoke about this earlier in the season, I do highlight him as being that difference maker signing because their window was fantastic prior to signing him, right? Their window was great. They had Gyökeres, they had Zubamendi, they have Hincapié, they have all these guys. What's his name? Mosquera. They have all these guys coming in that were just great signings. Add so much to the team. And then on top of that, they add Ebe Eze. And look at what he is bringing to this team now. It is just the signing that takes them over the top, the signing that really makes the difference for them, that adds that danger on the left, on the right. You can play him through the middle. How comfortable does he look anywhere across the sort of front three in the attack, across those 3 positions? So him sort of rising and being that difference maker for Arsenal, more so than even at this point, with the way that he's been playing, more so than even a Victor Gyökeres, in my opinion. So Arsenal beating a team like Bayern Munich is an absolute huge statement. I think that they sort of are the team that everyone's going to be coming after. Even the defending champions PSG got a good result today. Things look a little bit suspect at the back for them. We'll get to that a little bit later. So I think that Arsenal is the team that everyone is going to be coming for. Now, speaking of a team that's going to be coming for them very, very soon, let's move on to Chelsea versus Barcelona. And it was a huge performance from Chelsea, 3-0. Now, of course, they played about 45 minutes of this game, a man up, but I mean, that's not their problem. Speak to Ronald Araujo getting that red card, that stupid red card. I mean, he gets a yellow for arguing with the referee about a foul that wasn't given on, I think it was Lamine Yamal. And then he absolutely clatters Marc Cucurella to get that second yellow and just makes so many more problems for Barcelona at a time when they were already suffering a little bit with how Chelsea were attacking them. I mean, how many goals did Chelsea have called back, right? Was it 2 or 3? I can't remember what the final count was of disallowed goals that Chelsea had. But you can see that they had almost triple the amount of shots that Barcelona had. Barcelona had that opportunity to score early in the first half. And I was around like the 6th minute or something like that, I believe. If they had scored, maybe this is a different game, right? Maybe. But just the way that Chelsea were playing, just the way that Barcelona's defense was playing once again, where it's an absolute freeway, free passage for anyone that wants to go through over and over again. 3 goals disallowed. There we go. 3. And still won 3-0. And that speaks to just, again, how poor this performance was from Barcelona in defense. And it's not just the back line, right? Because they had most of their preferred players out there. Balde, Pau Cubarsí, Ronald Araujo, and Jules Koundé in their back line. Preferred back line. I mean, a lot of guys would say, I wish we still had Inigo Martinez, and I would agree with you, but he's gone. He's off to Saudi Arabia. So they have all their starters out there, and without Pedri in the midfield, they're just getting run over and over again, and they are getting torched by the runs of Pedro Neto, Estêvão, and Garnacho. The speed of Chelsea's front line and the timing of the runs that they were making, the width. Again, I don't understand this with Barcelona. They defend high and narrow, and so if anyone like an Estêvão goes to the wide areas, he's going to have a huge corridor to run down. Huge corridor. Jules Koundé, by the way, getting that own goal. That was one of the weirdest own goals I've seen. Not getting nutmegged or nutmegging, was it Balde or someone? I can't remember who it was. Estêvão getting that unbelievable goal. We'll talk about him in a second because, speaking of Pedri not being there, Moises Caicedo looking unreal once again for Chelsea. How important is he to the success of this team? I say that, and respect to Enzo Fernandez, who had a great match as well. And I say that he has a similar sort of characteristics to N'Golo Kante, and that he just is everywhere. He'll just pop up anywhere in the midfield. All of a sudden, you think that a Barcelona player is through. Ferran Torres, for example, maybe has some room to take a shot. Moises Caicedo comes out of nowhere with a tackle sort of from the side and behind and manages to get the ball cleanly. Unbelievable, like an octopus with it. Then you have Marc Cucurella also playing well in left back, locking up Lamine Yamal. But the guy who really looked unreal out there is someone who I will refuse to shut up about this season. Estêvão, this 18-year-old Brazilian, is just unbelievable to watch. We've been hitting you with the Estêvão propaganda as much as we can. Every young player award that we can hand out, we're giving it to Estêvão. He becomes the second youngest player after Kylian Mbappe to score in each of his first 3 UCL starts. That's how good he is. This kid turned 18 in April or May, something like that. And this is how comfortable he looks. He goes from Brazil, Bossa Nova, beaches, heat, to London, where he can see his breath in November, and he's comfortable out there, looking fantastic. He's beating players. Look at how he split through Balde and Cubarsí before scoring that goal. Splits them and then smashes it past João Garcia, who barely moves because the ball is already past him by the time it leaves Estevão's foot. So he's looking so comfortable out there. And I think that Enzo Maresca needs to get a lot of credit for how he's handled him and sort of managed his minutes. He didn't just put him straight in there right away. And now we'll see if he'll continue to sort of rotate him in and out so that he doesn't overuse him. But through his performances alone, Estêvão is sort of forcing himself into that team sheet every single time. So, unbelievable player. I think he's going to get Young Player of the Tournament. If that even is an award that UEFA gives out, I can't remember. Just an unbelievable performance once again from him. I can't wait to see this match against Arsenal this weekend. Now let's get into another one here. Olympiacos versus Real Madrid, our second to last match that we're going to go over. This one was interesting in that it was a bit of a weird week. Real Madrid winning 4-3 in Piraeus in Greece. A bit of a weird week for Real Madrid. You know, more drama surrounding Xabi Alonso and Vinicius, and the timing of those reports are very interesting in that as soon as Real Madrid go winless in 3 matches, then you have these stories about Vinicius being or refusing to sign a new contract with Real Madrid until his relationship, not reputation, his relationship with Xabi Alonso is better. The timing is suspect. I'm not making any allegations. None from me here, but the timing certainly is suspect because when Real Madrid was doing well, I mean, Vinny himself didn't really have a leg to stand on as far as complaints go because everything was working out. Real Madrid is playing really well. If you're going to complain, they're going to say, dude, team's doing fine. Just get on board with everyone. Let's enjoy. Let's contribute together. So it was always going to be interesting to see what would happen. And of course, you would see Vinicius get started in this match. And I mean, it makes sense for him to, right? It's nothing new with Xabi sort of rotating the squad constantly. And he does really well. He does really, really well. You have Kylian Mbappe scoring all of the goals for Real Madrid. I think Vinicius set up two of them. Arda Güler set up one of them, and I think Camavinga set up the other one. But you see Real Madrid playing a sort of shape that resembled how they were playing when things were going really well. You have Arda Güler playing in a more advanced position and Jude Bellingham on the bench, which I'm sure that's something they still need to figure out, is where they put Arda Güler and Jude Bellingham. Bellingham likes to play in a more advanced position. So does Güler. Güler has been playing in a more deeper position. Doesn't look as good there, not as effective. He was so important to how well Kylian Mbappe was playing earlier in the season. So you kind of need him in that advanced position. So Xabi has some figuring out to do. Last season it was where do you play Mbappe and Vinicius? This season it's where do you play Bellingham and Güler? So new season, new issue. But they end up winning 4-3. Probably closer than it should have been. But they don't have Thibaut Courtois in goal. Lunin, I can't say if he was at fault for any of the goals. I didn't see all of them. But the defense is the issue that people are going to be speaking about now. Because whether they play a back four or a back five, they don't seem to have that defensive solidity that they need to, and that they sort of had at the very beginning of the season. Dennis from YouTube, Michelle from YouTube, hi. I hope you guys are doing well. Let me know what you thought about all these matches. Interested to hear your thoughts. And let's move on to the next one, 4-3 Real Madrid versus Olympiacos. Let's move on to PSG versus Spurs, which was 5-3. So an 8-goal thriller at the Parc des Princes. Look, PSG, defending champions, taking on Spurs, who come into this one with 2 wins and 2 draws. So they were undefeated in the Champions League prior to this. And they also come into this match after that heavy defeat to Arsenal this past weekend. So I'm sure Spurs supporters were not feeling great going away to Paris. Going away to a team that has won a match 7-2 in the Champions League already. But out of nowhere, with literally their only attempt of the half, Richarlison scores. And it was assisted by Kolo Muani, who was on loan from PSG, as you will remember. Richarlison tucks it in. Now, this goal was sort of an example of, because a guy who I always put as one of the top left backs in the world, Nuno Mendes, this is an example of one of his weaknesses. We saw that big ball to the back post, headed back across by Kolo Muani, and Richarlison heads it in. You got to wonder if that was something that Thomas Frank drew up for them to try over and over again against PSG. Get that ball to the back post, someone contend with Nuno Mendes, and see if you can either get it on goal or back across. Across, as I'm reading quel match, quelle victoire, quelle équipe. What a match, what a victory, what a team, it says. And that man right there, Vitinha, was central to this win for PSG. He scored 2 absolute bangers. The first one was just gorgeous. If you haven't seen the goal that Vitinha scored against Spurs to make it 1-1, I believe it was, you have to go and check it out, because it is just a typical Vitinha strike, an absolute smash from outside of the box. Then his second one, he cuts inside. He dances around a couple of players. He cuts inside onto his left, curls it inside the post. And to get his hat trick, he got it from the penalty spot. So Vitinha, for me last season, and I think for a lot of people, one of the best midfielders in the competition. There are some people that were saying, "Oh, he's better than Pedri." Look, my parents are Portuguese. I obviously like Vitinha. I'm not going to go that far. Okay, I'm not going to go that far just yet. But Vitinha is absolutely an unbelievable player, and when he is on form, he is the beating heart of this PSG side. The way he can control the match. The trophy and the match ball for Vitinha, as it says in this tweet, for getting that hat trick and player of the match. Luckily, I live in Quebec, so I can, I got a little French in me. I got a little French understanding in me. But look, when he is on form, he is unplayable. Like I was saying, he's the beating heart of this PSG side. He is a little bit unplayable in that midfield. He is so press resistant. He can be surrounded by 3-4 players and still wriggle out with the ball, no problem, and set an attack in the other direction for PSG. It's just one of those special players that is so central to their success. Also, João Neves out there, looking very good as well. PSG in general, I think they are absolutely a team that you cannot sleep on, but I do worry about their defense a little bit. Conceding 3 at home against Spurs. Not a good look. They only have a 2 point lead in Liga, which I think is more a credit to Marseille's strength this season than anything. But still, PSG not the best start to the season, and still not a team that you can sleep on. That's for sure. But not looking as strong as last season. Granted, at this point last season, they were in a lot of trouble. They barely were surviving in the Champions League. And then look what they did. They went on that crazy run from mid-December onward, and they won the whole thing. So there it is. PSG, I think you still have to take out Arsenal. That's going to be very, very difficult for you. But if there was a team that you could see doing so, it would be this PSG side. They have the credentials to do so. But guys, I think that's it. I mean, we covered it all. Arsenal, Real Madrid, PSG, Liverpool, the big surprise there, which sort of isn't a surprise at this point, considering they've lost 9 in their last 12 matches, which is unbelievable. I don't think anyone saw this coming. Even if you expected a sophomore slump from Arne Slot and Liverpool, I do not think anyone expected to this extent. But guys, I want to thank you for joining me once again. This has been a fun one. If you're in America, enjoy your Thanksgiving tomorrow, and we'll have another stream for you next week. Maybe a bit of surprise. Keep your eyes peeled in the app. Keep your eyes peeled on the YouTube channel, BR Football, and you will see what we have going on there. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Adrian. I didn't even introduce myself at the beginning, but thank you. I'm Adrian. I appreciate you, and take care, guys.